Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We are happy that Mr. John Cornett is back here to play us a couple of songs. Good to see you're feeling a little better, John. I'd like to introduce our audience to Dana Cannabis. Did I say your last name right?
Sure did.
All right. Dana has been volunteering on our television show for how long?
Almost 17 years.
17 years. That's a
Couple of breaks here and there.
Yeah, that's a good long time. We are. This is actually our 21st anniversary show. We started our show back on October 16th of 1996. So this is our official 21st anniversary show. We're legal to go buy some cannabis, I guess. When we started the show, you couldn't even dream of going to a store and buying cannabis, hardly. I dreamed it. I was pushing it, but very few people did. People were amazed that this show was on the air. And not ironically, because we have advocated hemp for fuel for a long time, an Israeli-Canadian oil company has taken over our multi-million-dollar business, and they have got a court order to force us to turn our banner around. We can't reference the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, the nonprofit that I still run and founded back in over 20 years ago. They have a court order that I cannot represent, that I am part of, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation. Even though they never paid a penny, they are just outrageous liars. We'll be talking about this a little bit more with Dana and as time goes by. But first, we will bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves. First story tonight is from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. This legislative session in the United States Senate, Senator Cory Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey, introduced comprehensive cannabis reform legislation, the Marijuana Justice Act of 2017. If passed, the bill would remove cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act. The historic bill, S. 1689, would remove cannabis from the U.S. Controlled Substances Act, which would end the federal criminalization of cannabis, incentivize states to mitigate existing and ongoing racial disparities in state-level marijuana arrests, expunge federal convictions specific to cannabis possession, allow individuals currently serving time in federal prison for cannabis-related violations to petition the court for resentencing, and create a community reinvestment fund to invest in communities most impacted by the failed war on drugs. At the moment, 30 states, including Washington, D.C., and the U.S. territories of Guam and Puerto Rico have enacted legislation specific to the physician-authorized use of cannabis, while an estimated 63 million Americans now reside in jurisdictions like this one, where anyone over the age of 21 may possess cannabis legally. Voters overwhelmingly support these policy changes. 59% of Americans support full marijuana legalization, and 71% believe that states, not the federal government, should set marijuana policy, according to a 2017 Quinnipiac University poll. American citizens are tired of the ongoing enforcement of cannabis prohibition, which financially burdens taxpayers, encroaches upon civil liberties, engenders disrespect for the law, impedes legitimate scientific research into the plant's medicinal and industrial properties, and disproportionately impacts communities of color. Here in Oregon, our senators already do. But please ask your senators, wherever you might be in the United States, to support the Marijuana Justice Act of 2017. Next story tonight is from Michigan. Oregon State University's had a hemp course for 5 years taught by Andrea Herman, who's been a guest on this show several times. Now, Northern Michigan University in Marquette on the banks of Lake Superior is offering a cannabis degree. The 4-year medicinal plant chemistry degree geared toward the emerging cannabis industry includes classes such as organic chemistry, biochemistry, soils, biostatistics, genetics, biology, gas and liquid chromatography, accounting, financial management, and perspectives on society. Other colleges and universities in the U.S., namely Harvard, Ohio State University, Vanderbilt University, and the University of Denver, offer a variety of classes on cannabis policy and law. The Northern Michigan University program mixes chemistry, biology, botany, horticulture, marketing, and finance in a 4-year degree program that begins this semester. University officials say the program fills a need because 29 states have legalized medical cannabis, including 8 states where cannabis is also legal for social use. Dr. Mark Paulson, the director of Northern Michigan University's chemistry department, said, quote, "We're gaining students every week. With a full 12 months of recruitment, we expect to grow. It was on my off day and I saw there was a cannabis chemistry group that was putting on a whole series of talks. I heard all about the need for analytical chemists and all sorts of interesting talks. That was the initial spark," end quote. Northern Michigan University trustee James Havman said, quote, "Many of the states are legalizing different substances and they're really looking for quality people to do the chemistry and the science. And it's the university's responsibility to produce those kinds of students for those kinds of jobs," end quote. In the program, the students will learn how to measure and extract the compounds in the plant which can be used for medicinal purposes, and then be able to transfer that knowledge to cannabis to treat a variety of illnesses, including chronic pain, nausea, seizures, and glaucoma. Alex Roth, who is a sophomore there at Northern Michigan University and is in this program, said, quote, "Alcohol is such a big part of our culture now, and I want to be part of the change to normalize marijuana. I look at how much the industry is going to be worth, and I think this is one of the smartest decisions I could make for my future," end quote. In 2008, Michigan voters approved the use of cannabis to treat certain illnesses. I opened medical marijuana clinics in Michigan in 2008 when that law changed. The state's developing a new regulatory system aimed at increasing oversight and imposing new taxes on medical cannabis in Michigan. Applications for licenses in Michigan will be available on December 15th. So the developments are ongoing. Our next story is from Fort Worth, Texas. Retail cannabis distribution in Colorado is associated with a reduction in opioid-related mortality, according to data published online in the American Journal of Public Health. A team of investigators from the University of North Texas School of Public Health, the University of Florida, and Emory University in Atlanta compared changes in the prevalence of monthly opioid-related deaths before and after Colorado retailers began selling cannabis to adults. The researchers compared Colorado's data with trends in neighboring states that had not implemented any change in marijuana's legal status, and also sought to control for recent changes in the state's prescription drug monitoring program. The authors reported a 6.5% decrease in monthly opioid deaths following retail cannabis sales. The authors wrote, quote, "Colorado's legalization of recreational cannabis sale and use resulted in a 0.7 deaths per month reduction in opioid-related deaths. This reduction represents a reversal of the upward trend in opioid-related deaths across the rest of the United States." The authors concluded, quote, "Legalization of cannabis in Colorado was associated with short-term reductions in opioid-related deaths," end quote. Their data is consistent with prior studies finding that cannabis access is associated with reductions in prescription drug spending, opioid-related hospitalizations, and opioid-related fatalities. This study, called Recreational Cannabis Legalization and Opioid-Related Deaths in Colorado from 2000 to 2015, appears in the American Journal of Public Health. Our next story is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. African Americans in Pennsylvania are 8 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession offenses than are Caucasians, according to an analysis of statewide arrest data by the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU of Pennsylvania report reviewed arrest data for all 67 counties in Pennsylvania from 2010 to 2016. Excluding Philadelphia, which decriminalized cannabis possession offenses in 2014, adult marijuana possession arrests increased 33% during this period of time at a cost of $225 million to Pennsylvania taxpayers. Black adults were 8.2 times more likely than their white counterparts to be arrested for possessing marijuana. In 2010, African Americans in Pennsylvania were 6.5% times more likely than whites to be arrested for marijuana possession crimes. So it's increasing the disparity. Recent analysis from other states, such as New Jersey and Virginia, have similarly identified racial disparities in marijuana possession arrests. Nationwide, African Americans are approximately 4 times more likely than whites to be arrested for possessing marijuana, despite members of both ethnicities using the substance at similar rates. The ACLU of Pennsylvania concluded, quote, Pennsylvania's insistence in continuing to fight the war on marijuana is at the root of the problematic data presented in this report. Law enforcement has not only continued its business as usual arresting policies and enforcement of cannabis prohibition, it's ramped up enforcement as marijuana use has become more accepted throughout the Commonwealth and the nation. If laws don't change, this pattern will likely continue. Law enforcement could become even more heavy-handed until policymakers are clear that it's time to end this approach. The clearest way to send this message is to end prohibition of cannabis altogether, end quote. Next story tonight is also from Pennsylvania, from Haverford. Medical cannabis regulatory programs are associated with reductions in the prevalence of certain types of violent crimes, according to a paper published online by the International Scholar website. The paper evaluates the relationship between state-sanctioned medical cannabis programs and violent crime rates over a 2-decade period. It finds that cannabis medicalization laws are associated with decreases in murder and robbery. States with the largest populations of registered patients were associated with the greatest reductions in violent criminal activity. The author of this study concludes, quote, a 1% increase in medical marijuana registration rates decreases murder and robbery rates by 0.03% and 0.02% respectively, and has no significant effect on other types of crime. The results show that increasing the legal availability of marijuana through medicalization could decrease murder and robbery rates, 2 crimes highly associated with the illegal drug trade. The results are similar to those of a 2014 University of Texas study, which determined that the enactment of medical cannabis laws was associated with reduction in the rates of homicide and assault. A recent analysis of violent crime rates in Washington State, both before and following the enactment of adult-use marijuana regulations, also reports that per capita incidences of violent offenses have fallen since legalization. This abstract of a paper, The Effect of Medical Marijuana on Crime Rates, is available online at Bryn Mawr's website. That's brynmawr.edu. That's the end of our hemp news segment tonight, and it's good to have you back, John. I'm glad you're feeling somewhat better.
Oh, thank you very much, Paul. You know, if you're out there, excuse me, and you don't have a pair of these and you're growing weed like I do, I have a license to grow cannabis. By the way, I call it cannabis because that way if they try to bust me for whatever reason, I go into court and I say, hey, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I got cannabis. That's not illegal. You know, and I can hold that'll hold water, I think. Anyway, these are shears that you use to trim bud with, and they're very, very useful. I don't know what the names of these are, but I'm going to play you some music now. That's right. Anyway, this is a ditty I wrote about. It's got words to it, but I'm not going to play them because I've got some issues going on right now. Thank you very much.
That was great. Thank you. All right, I'd like to welcome you viewers. Thanks for watching us here. And I'd also like to welcome our guest and co-host this evening, Mr. Dana Canal. It's good to see you again.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you've been behind the camera on and off for 17 years now.
Yeah.
So you tell us about how you first got involved with our cable TV show back
Well,
17 years ago.
honestly, I just kind of stumbled on you when I was looking for something on TV one night. You know, always could find something interesting on cable access back then, it seems like. You know, with Jim Spag and everything.
Yeah, and that was
Right.
before the age of internet and video
Exactly,
and Netflix and
exactly.
YouTube. So
And here was people talking about, you know, getting marijuana legalized both medically and socially for social use eventually. Our, you know, dream you and I've had in common long before we met.
yeah,
And I just couldn't believe it was on TV. You know, it's like the next biggest step in my life I didn't expect to happen with regards to marijuana at all. You know, throughout my teenage years and formative years, I, you know, was chastised by friends and family, you know, for using it. And I always kind of looked at it as self-medicating because I rarely ever seemed to get sick,
right.
you know, and I seemed to heal better in cases when I had injuries or problems. And I was pretty much always a heavy user.
Makes us happy.
It makes us happy. It relieves stress,
Right.
you know, and anxiety. Sleep better. You know, you lose your dreams sometimes, you know,
And
but
sometimes that's a good thing if you've got traumatic incidents you don't want to dream about.
exactly, you know, kind of helps you with that PTSD
Excuse me.
angle, you know. But, you know, you invited us to come down and watch you live in the studio. So my partner and I came down the very next week. And we're the kind of people that are just kind of dig to see if we can get involved and hung around after the show. And then you invited us to the clinic to talk. And that tiny little phone booth of a clinic you had
That first one
back
there.
then, you know.
Yeah, that was about
And, at that time,
2003 or
yeah,
something.
about 03. And she was disabled at the time and was living on a very limited income. And you helped her out financially with getting medically legal and being responsible and giving us information on how to provide for ourselves with growing and such. And that blossomed from there into us having a grow for about 8 or 9 patients at one point, you know, helping them out, kind of following in your footsteps. And, you know, right after that, you know, I was locked in. I was coming down here all the time, and I guess I pestered you enough. You finally said, do you want to, you know, get behind the camera? And I said, sure, man, let me do whatever I can. And that was the start.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
we're still have a live audience here. You're welcome to come down on most Friday nights. We will be here next Friday night, which is the 27th, but then we're only going to be here once in the month of November live. We're going to have tape shows on, I believe it's the 3rd and the 9th and the 24th, or maybe the 25th, if memory serves me correctly. Anyway, we will only have one live show in the month of November, and that'll be the 17th, and we'll have Anthony Taylor on, who is a lobbyist with Compassionate Oregonians, to talk about the changes that have been going on with the medical marijuana program and the legislature.
Awesome.
So we're looking forward to having Anthony back
Yeah.
on here. I've known Anthony since I moved to Oregon back in 1984, as we both were working on marijuana legalization then, which is what drew me to Oregon back in 1984. But I heard that from so many different people that, you know, they saw it on TV, they couldn't believe somebody was talking about marijuana. There was a period of time there where we were the number one of the top rated cable shows in the country. In fact, we were the first one that was listed in TV Guide. And also for the word cannabis or marijuana, we were the top TiVoed thing, where people could record it from wherever they were at. They'd search for marijuana, we'd be the only thing that would pop up.
Yeah.
And so we had people TiVoing us from all over the world with that TiVo service, which is not as popular now as it was back 20 years ago or
Right.
15.
It's more of a retro thing now. But
Yeah, I don't think many people have TiVo
it's
these
amazing the
days.
growth that we've gone through, even though we've maintained a cable access for the people. Just the way that we've grown in technology on availability, where people can text us through websites and
Yeah.
right off of streaming live on Facebook.
I believe we're streaming live right now at our Facebook site, facebook.com/restorehemp. That has a little over 700,000 followers. If you're out there and you want to reach us, you can send a text to our Facebook site, and through the magic of texting technology, we'll be able probably to answer that, or you can give us a call at the number that'll pop up on your screen here. It's a new number. It is 503-697, I think what is it, 8579, 673, 503-673-8579. That is a temporary number. We'll go back to a more permanent number sometime before the new year. But for now, if you have a question or comment for us about hemp or marijuana or medical marijuana, you can call us at 503-673-8579. Or if you think someone out there anywhere in the world should be watching this show, let them know we're streaming live on facebook.com/restorehemp.
Yep.
So you grew marijuana for a while for several patients, but you haven't been doing that the past several years. I know you've had some health issues that have been more intense. You had cardiac surgery even.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I found out about 2.5 years ago that I was actually born with a defective heart valve. And I'd always been told I had a heart murmur, but they never really, no doctor seemed to want to check it out until then. And boy, I was glad they did, because it was something that could have been a dramatic life changer very quickly. And I think the thing that staved it off all my life was the consistent use of cannabis in my daily routine.
One of the medical bunch of studies have shown recently that cannabis not only increases your likelihood of surviving traumatic incidences and surgery and hospitalization, but also lowers the buildup of plaque and calcium in your coronary arteries.
Yeah, I was quite pleased. They told me to expect 6 days in the hospital after the valve replacement. I had my aortic valve replaced with a biovalve, which is a valve from actually in this case it was a pig. And they said, 6 days is common for the stay in the hospital after that kind of surgery, open heart. And they let me go home on the 3rd day. And you came and visited me the next day with some cannabis oil, the RSO, and you helped me recover in just a remarkably short time. I believe, using that cannabis oil therapy. I was back.
It's amazing
to
what it will do
when
when we can allow actual research into this, and it's not, so repressed. I mean, there's only one farm they allow to grow it, and that's down in Oxford, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And the quality of that has been substandard, to say the least.
Top notch, right?
Yeah. And so even though cannabis is one of the most studied substances in the history of the world, a lot of them, they don't approve the studies that will really prove that it cures cancer and it helps heart disease and increases longevity. And that's a shame. It's a shame.
It's hard to get the truth back out there when people have been eating propaganda for so long.
California's first medical marijuana doctor, Dr. Todd McCurria, called it monomolecular mercantile madness. That's what monomolecular mercantile madness. They want to sell us just that specific drug that they can patent and make billions of dollars off of, not something that like the oldest and most productive crop, cannabis.
And heaven forbid, why would you want to grow your own?
Yeah. Well, we have a video clip from our friend, fellow Portlander Jorge Cervantes. He's going to take a tour of the So Fresh Farms, and we'll be back just after this about 9-minute video. Here.
Okay, hi, I'm Jorge Cervantes, and here we are in another greenhouse that belongs to So Fresh Farms. I had too much coffee today, and I talk faster than I can get the words out, right? So that's, anyway, we don't have to edit that. So anyway, yeah, here we are, and the plants are small. And Josh, you met Josh before. The guy's in charge of everything. What's your exact title, Josh?
I'm the farm operations manager here.
Farm operations manager at So Fresh Farms. This is a good thing. So okay, so this garden was harvested a few weeks ago, and then you put these plants in. Let's start with, let's see, overall dimensions. Let's talk about the greenhouse first.
Sure.
How big's the greenhouse?
It's a 30 by 96 with 6-foot sidewalls.
Okay, 30 by 96, 6-foot sidewalls, and what's the beam up here? What's the top?
14-foot deep.
14-foot steeple. Okay, and then you've got these lights up here. These are those double-ended gavitas. And so, how far apart are they spaced?
They're about 4 feet apart.
Okay.
Which is per Gavita's light grid specs.
Okay, and so you basically got a hold of Gavita and they told you where to put the lamp.
Yeah, exactly.
And they feed it all into a computer and ask you a bunch, or you just fill out a form, or?
Yeah, you fill out a form with a grid sheet and your layout of your beds, where you're going to have plants, and they'll give you the light grid.
Okay, cool. And then let's see. So you've got that. You've got. Looks like this is a greenhouse that darkens itself. Is this?
So we retrofitted this house with a roll-down automated light depth guard.
Okay, a roll-down automated. So that means you just make it dark.
Yeah.
Make it dark for 12 hours. Okay, got it. Sounds like there's delivery happening out there.
Yeah.
Big truck making a lot of noise.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the basic stats there. You've got this dual quest thing over here. What's that?
So these are our overhead dehumidifiers, and the Quest 155 Dual is actually the most efficient overhead dehumidifier that we could find.
Really? So you get that much humidity in here? You can't control it with these big fans you got?
Oh no.
Really? So that's part of this Oregon climate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did a video down in Salem. It was agricultural hemp, or no, it wasn't hemp, but they're making everything into concentrates. They had tons of mold everywhere, but the extraction process they were using, they were able to keep that out.
Yeah.
They were able to separate all the mold. I had a lot of comments about mold. I told them right at first, it's like, duh, nobody's paying attention. They didn't understand that. They didn't watch or read anything.
Right.
But, but this is a whole different trip because you're selling buds here, right?
Yes.
Flowers, as they call them now. Now, you've got these raised beds. What are the dimensions on these beds?
These are 8 by 8 feet.
8 by 80 feet. Would you love to have 80 feet long beds? That works for me.
Absolutely.
And they're all three the same.
Yes.
Okay, now why did you use plywood here instead of gravel?
So because of the level of the native soil, it's
Okay.
actually almost 36 inches down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it would have taken quite a bit of gravel to raise this up. These beds go all the way down to native soil.
Okay.
And they're about 36 inches deep.
Okay, so this bed is 3 feet deep, and these are on stilts, basically.
Yes.
And so it's just a lot cheaper to build.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes tons of sense. And then this plywood you can replace periodically. And I see you've got no treatment for the wood.
Correct.
You know, that
pressure
the stuff,
treated.
the pressure treated, the toxic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The toxins will seep out of the wood and into your soil.
Into the cannabis. Bad deal. And then, see, I noticed these plants, some of them look real healthy, some of them look
rough.
Not so rough. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Some of them have burned edges and stuff. So what are these? These are, is this the Durban poison? Or
This is white haze.
This is
here.
white haze, the Durbans down there.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, these look great. These look really strong. A little bit of variation, nutrient variation there, but not bad. And how long have they been in the ground?
About a week.
About a week. So they were nice big plants when you put them in here.
Yeah.
And it looks like they didn't stop growing at all.
No, we got a little bit of transplant shock and they bounced back real quick. A lot of that due to mycorrhizae.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
it stimulates root growth and helps use transplant shock. So we make a serum of that we're dipping root balls in as we're transplanting into our beds, and it tends to help them not skip a beat.
Yeah, that's
Some
really
of them
good
were
stuff.
pretty unhealthy when we put them in here. When they're
Mhm.
back to health.
Well, once you get them in a nice big bed like this, it makes a lot of difference.
Mhm.
And then everything's mulched and stuff.
Yep.
And I might add, we're in like the 17th of August now, 2017. It's hot as hell out there. I mean, it's hot in here right now. The humidity went right up as soon as the fans went off because there was a big flow of air coming through here. So that could be why some of these plants look a little rough from a little bit of heat stress.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
The heat is really hard on plants. Okay, so they've been in here. And how big were these plants when you harvested?
Oh, they're
So
up
they're-
close, you know, within a few inches of life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so there wasn't, see, there must have been a ton of humidity in here then. Because when you have, when it's all green matter down here, there's not a lot of airflow through here.
Yep.
So that can really make some problems. I think we got some photos of those too. The last crop, don't we?
Oh,
I
yeah.
got some video too. I'm gonna put the up there.
Okay,
So
excellent,
if you want to
excellent.
talk about flower, like it was here,
Okay.
we can put on some really good B-roll that will look awesome with just giant plants and stuff.
Okay,
So,
okay.
You
So
want- we
this
can
is
kind
the
of fake it a little
voiceover
bit.
stuff we'll use for that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because yeah.
Cole's way bigger than my arms.
And okay, so you have nice big colas.
Great size.
Excellent, excellent. Well, cool. Okay, so we can get an idea of what this greenhouse looked like a few weeks ago. And how long has this greenhouse been in existence?
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years.
It was
okay.
in the neighbor's field.
Okay.
We picked it up and brought it over.
Okay, so it's been moved once, soil and
It's completely
and
been
everything.
cobbled together.
Okay, so it's been thrown together pretty quickly. And then let's see, what else about this? If it was like, how many crops a year are you getting at this?
4 to 5.
4 to 5. Okay, we're just north of the 45th parallel in the Willamette Valley, and so that's 4 to 5 crops. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's
You
turning
know.
and burning. It's about 7 days between harvest and transplant.
Okay. Yeah, the faster you can make that, you can pick up almost one
Exactly.
complete more crop. If you just turn it over and work 24 hours a day, it's really worth it to
Yep, it sure
work
is.
day and night. You know.
Sure is.
It used to be we had to do that kind of like underground, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Gotta
Yeah.
do it when no one's watching.
So, exactly. And then I noticed a couple of other things. You stake some of these when they're small, but these right here have this netting with the UV inhibitor in them.
Mhm.
This stuff is great. I see it everywhere. It works so well. And then you can raise this up if
Correct.
you need to. And I noticed there's screws here at intervals. That looks
That's
like
for hanging trellising on the side when our canopy grows out.
okay. So it's going to cover this, and you've got basically you have to walk to
Yes.
here like this.
Every time post to
Okay.
harvest, you're walking sideways down those aisles.
Okay, and you can't get out without rushing through the plants.
Right.
It's just wonderful.
It is
And yeah,
awesome. It's a great
yeah,
feeling.
okay, and then over there I see you've got these nutrient lines here.
Yes.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is Drip Tech irrigation line. It's got the bladders and valves on it. So that
Okay.
it won't pull any particulate back into the drip.
Okay, so it's a
Shut it
one-way
off.
valve.
Yep.
And how are they for plugging? That's the biggest problem.
So as
is
long
getting
as you have
clogging.
adequate pressure,
Mhm.
it don't flow.
Okay,
and we
adequate
have
pressure. What's that mean?
so 25 psi.
25 psi, and that's what most household
Yeah.
household stuff runs.
Yeah, in
And
fact, a lot of faucets you got to put a regulator on to get it down.
To get it
25
down.
PSI.
Yeah, well, there you go. But it's consistent. It's better to put a regulator on than try to pump it up.
Yes.
You know. So you must have some pretty serious pumps out here then to.
Actually,
meet
it's
that.
just a pump off the wellhead.
Really
Yeah.
just straight off the wellhead. What's your well pumping out anyway? Do you know what the
It's
gallons per minute? Because you got quite a bit of
yeah,
water you're
I
using
think
out
it's
here.
somewhere around 95.
95.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a
'cause
pretty good flow.
something like this, you'd need at least 20 to 30 gallons a minute minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum, and you might have to have a cistern for that. So 95, that's pretty good. That's
Yeah,
that's
it's cranking.
it's a big 95 gallons a minute. That's a lot of water. Yeah, you got a pipe about a 4. That's
Yeah.
a 4-inch pipe.
Yeah, it's a big pipe.
Yeah,
coming out.
4, maybe even a 6 for 95 gallons a minute. So you got a 2 horsepower pump on that minimum.
All right. Well, there's another interesting lesson from Jorge Cervantes touring the So Fresh farms. I learn a lot from these things, you know.
No kidding, they're some very valuable resource.
Yeah.
You know, I hear from a lot of people that watch our show how interesting and useful they find that.
You can find out more about Jorge Cervantes at marijuanagrowing.com. That's marijuanagrowing.com. So we were talking, and if you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can give us a call at that number there on your screen, 503-673-8579. That's 404-673-8579. So you were talking, though, a moment ago about your heart surgery that you had. After you got out of the hospital in 3 days, what's your doctor said lately?
Well, recently I saw her about 2 weeks ago, my cardiologist, and she gave me just a glowing, happy report that she was so pleased with how, I'd come through the surgery and healed up, and she doesn't expect me to be having any complications at all. So years to come of, heart healthy, free life as long as I take care of myself, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a life changer. It's a waker upper when you find out that you have to have somebody cut into your chest and make changes to your heart. So
it sounds pretty scary to me.
It
sounds kind of frightening.
Pretty scary, but now it's almost like looking back on a dream.
Right.
And everything went so well, and I healed up so quickly, and I definitely attribute a huge amount of that to my cannabis usage and enhanced cannabis usage immediately after the surgery.
Right. Okay. Well, again, if you have any questions out there for us, you can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 503-673-8579. We have a number of items to share with you here tonight. I'm going to start down here with this big, I think that's like a quart bottle from Park Davis. There, you got that in there, Ray. It says cannabis, tincture of cannabis indica. From actually, this one's from Britain. It's the British Drug Company in London. So that's what this one is. This one right next to it is the Park Davis bottle, another tincture of cannabis indica, and it has a little picture of the Detroit, Michigan-based pharmaceutical headquarters of Park Davis. Park Davis still in existence today. Then we have two tins here. These are, this one's reflecting pretty badly, or is it this one? Yeah. These are from Seaberry Company. Seaberry was the predecessor of Johnson & Johnson. So these are both corn medicines. They're pretty colorful little tins that Seaberry's produces. They went from Seaberry's to Seaberry's & Johnson, and then it became Johnson & Johnson after that. Then right next to it, we have from the Merrill Company a powdered extract. Maybe you can close in, focus on that. Powdered extract of cannabis indica. This was basically powdered hash or trichromes, keef, some people call it. It's got a nice little label on its top. It's 1 ounce of keef or hash was in here. Then right next to it we have a 1 fluid pint of cannabis extract, number 96 from Eli Lilly, another pharmaceutical company that's still in existence. Then we go right over here. We'll leave the medicinal elements behind. This is a piece of hempcrete. It's a hemp concrete alternative that's made with quicklime and hemp herds and hemp bast fiber. So this was made at the Great Midwest Marijuana Harvest Fest in Madison, Wisconsin back on October 2nd, but it by Farmer Bill from Nebraska. I went and testified in the Nebraska legislature along with Dr. Rachel Knox to try to pass a medical marijuana bill, but this was made with Nebraska hemp, and we're proud to have it here. Then right next to it is our famous, we've had it on for years now, our hemp flame of freedom. This is hemp seed oil with a hemp wick. This is what raw hemp seed oil looks like. We just put a little hemp fiber in there and light it, and that shows the reason they made marijuana illegal. You can take this and pour it right into your automobile engine and turn the key, and then you will be able to drive any diesel engine today. Then here is hemp fiber and more hemp fiber in its raw form. And so that's the end of our hemp show and tell for tonight, or I guess nowadays, or for a while now, they've been calling it sharing. It's not show and tell anymore, it's sharing.
Approximately how old are those bottles?
This bottle is from about 1930. This one is about 1890. These two are about 1880. This one is about 1910, 1915.
Wow.
So all of those are pretty ancient, historic cannabis collectibles. Pretty hard to come by these days.
Clearly, they knew the medicinal value of cannabis.
Clearly they did, and they
Back then.
didn't call it marijuana. And that's how they made marijuana illegal, by coming up with this new name based on anti-Hispanic racism. So I guess we have a caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
How's it going?
Pretty well. How are you?
So I just have a quick question for our guest and about growing. So
Okay.
I'm kind of new to the area and I've just been growing. Started off my first garden here, and today I was going through my plants, and I was pinched the top of one of the buds to kind of flip it over to look underneath when I do my inspections, and the top popped off, and I noticed that I had a little bit of like a white sheet, pulled out like a little white sheet of like cotton-looking mold.
Yeah.
And
It's getting
I was
pretty late
thinking
in the
I'd-
season, and so I
Yeah.
recommend, if you have anything outside flowering right now, you should harvest and try to.
Just harvest.
Yeah, you shouldn't wait any longer with this kind of rain. It's very moist, and you should harvest and try to trim that mold out and salvage what you can.
Okay. Well, I'm not growing out. I mean, I have like a
You're doing it
greenhouse.
indoors.
Yeah, like a indoor greenhouse where it's shielded from the rain.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not really like getting hit with water or anything, but I guess the humidity got a
humidity,
little too high. But I was
right.
just wondering.
Yeah,
So,
you
sorry,
need to
go.
get the humidity down. I would, if it's time, I would try to pull those anyway, or at least cut out the mold if you think you want to let them keep growing. Are you supplementing with artificial light?
Yeah. So when the sun's out, I put them out in the sun, and if not, I have like the LEDs on them.
Uh-huh. And so, the plants like about 12 hours of night and 12 hours of day to produce the most flowers. So you want to make sure, if that's what you're going for, you have that. But best thing you could do is put it in a warm, dry spot where it's about 70 degrees, and go from there.
Okay. So you don't think like the plant's compromised or it's like spread off through the rest of the plant?
I can't say without looking a little bit more closely.
Yeah.
I would. Do you think they're ready to harvest?
Well, not exactly, because like I do it based off like the trichromes, and right now they're kind of like still clear, just turning milky. So, so I don't.
That's the ideal time to harvest. I would go ahead and harvest those and dry them out.
Okay.
Give them about a week to dry.
And mold can be very invasive very quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, it didn't look like it spread to too much of the plant. So, all right, I appreciate you guys' advice.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, we've had mold very, very badly the past couple years outdoors here in Oregon. The year before that, we had a pretty good year, but you have to be careful with the rains that we get here, because they come on in October and sometimes even as early as September, and that just causes your flowers to mold because that water is in there inside the flower and doesn't really get out if it's not warm and dry.
And it's really hard in our environment to accurately predict the end of the growing season, and you try to stretch it to the last minute to get your maximum, bud growth, and then just one more day, and then that rain comes that night, and it's like, oh gosh, it's all wet. What do I do now?
Well, over the past couple of years, I've been your grower under the medical marijuana law, and I've been able to help you, like you mentioned, with the oil when you had your heart surgery. You talked about that oil production and using that oil with your doctors, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
How did they respond to that?
Well, my doctors were very optimistic and objective. They were willing to discuss it. And like I said, I always tell my doctors up front as I establish a relationship. And I tell them, I'm a user, a cannabis user. I guess you'd call me more than casual. And I've been using it pretty much daily for about 45 years. So I'm going to continue to use it. There's nothing in me that's going to change that. And if you can't work with that, then I'll just find another doctor.
And they've been friendly and receptive, and no one's fired you as a patient.
Exactly.
I remember when we first started helping patients 15, 20 years ago, it was very common for patients to be fired by their doctor because they were using medical marijuana.
In most cases, I've had to find a different referred doctor to actually sign the paperwork.
Yeah.
And you've helped with that. But
Well, that reminds me, if you're out there and you need help finding a doctor who can help you with medical marijuana, then you can call us at this new number. It's 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. You can leave a message. We'll call you back if you have any of these conditions. Then we have doctors who are willing to help. Do not go to our old clinic at 18th off of Burnside, the Empower Healthcare Clinic. Don't go there. It's been taken over by an Israeli Canadian oil company. It's really a bizarre situation. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but I guess we have a phone call standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Is Dana sitting next to you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dana's Tim.
Well, hello, Tim.
How come I just found out that you had all that surgery on TV on this live stream? I didn't know that, bro. I didn't know that happened. You didn't tell me that.
We just actually reconnected just a day or two ago and haven't had a lot of time to converse, so I haven't had a chance to tell you all the exciting things that have happened in my life recently. But hey, man, I'm still kicking it, and I'm happy and feeling healthy, so I can't wait till you get up here to see me.
Yeah.
Tim's calling us from Texas.
Oh, Texas.
Yeah.
I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
I was born and lived in Texas till I was 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I live. I live in Princeton, Texas, about 40 miles north of Dallas, and I have a West Texas ranch, and I live out there too. And we love it here. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
was born in Houston, but I grew up in Dallas, and I lived in Dallas from the time I was a baby till I was about 15 years old.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more green up here than it is down there. Yeah, no doubt. There's a lot more chiggers up here too.
Yeah, I remember those now you bring it up. I hadn't thought about them in a while.
Yeah, no
All right,
doubt.
well, thank you for
don't
calling.
Want to either.
Yeah.
What's that?
Thank you for calling.
Oh, absolutely. I just wanted to, tell Dana I love him and thank you for what he's doing and what you guys are doing, and stick with that stuff. And then
We will.
Give me a call.
Hope
after
those
the
laws
show,
change in Texas soon too.
Yeah,
Democracy
I
is
know.
coming
It's
to
coming.
the USA.
It's coming. Amen for that.
Amen for
And I'm going to be
brother.
here and be part of that. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well,
Thanks
Dana,
for calling.
I love you, bro, and you guys have a good night, and go ahead and keep going. I'm going to keep watching.
All
Thanks.
right.
That little sound
I'll
you're
talk
hearing
to you
there
soon.
is people are trying to call in. This is a temporary phone line, and so you hear people trying to call in with that little tone, but we can't take a call while we're on this call. Can't do that on the show. But soon we will have our regular phone system back, and maybe it'll even be a little bit better, we can hope.
Yeah.
So you have been impacted by this Canadian takeover because they have stolen, not only have they stolen over 250,000 medical patients' records and our medical clinic and the multi-million-dollar business that I set up that's helped over 250,000 patients. They also have stolen our outdoor medical marijuana garden. They actually say they own my name.
They're scoundrels.
They are.
I mean,
how does this impact you, the fact that these folks have stolen this garden? This has a direct impact on your availability of medicine, right?
I have to understand that the medicine's just not there at this time, and I've at least luckily this year successfully been able to grow a little my own without being
legal plants
ripped off, which
I remember
I've
you
had
were
to deal
ripped
with.
off once, and I gave you a second set of plants.
Set of plants. Well, I managed to keep those out of sight, out of mind enough, I guess, to successfully get through the recent harvest. So I'm not totally suffering, and you always seem to have come up with something somewhere, from
anytime it's
donations or
needed.
whatever.
We try to.
So all I can say is thank you for everything that you've done for me, and anything that I can do to remunerate.
You're here on the show now. That's a good thing. Tell us more about how you feel about having your medical records stolen by this Canadian Israeli oil company and your garden.
Because I know they're going to turn around with my records and try to make some sort of huge profit by selling those records to others.
They told me those records are worth $20 to $50 million when they sell them, and they've already transferred them to a Ontario Canadian cannabis company.
What's crazy is that I don't think they're very good at record keeping, because even though they've taken these records, they still called me, just a month or two ago.
And you told them before,
me,
right?
Oh, it shows in our records that you haven't renewed your permit with us for a couple of years. We want to offer you a special deal. And I had some choice words for them at that point, you know, and told them that they were stealing from good American people.
They're stealing from the poor to give to the rich.
That's exactly
I mean, it's
what they're
basically
doing.
a George Soros who has $30 billion, a George Soros finance company. Now, George Soros financed Measure 91, and this was just their way to push us out of the way and make sure that we can't do anything else politically and steal everything I have in my life and steal millions of dollars from, you know, our business.
It's let the little guy do all the work and then step on it and take it.
Yeah, based on lies. We just
Based on
recently
holes, loopholes, and lies. It's just so deceitful, and it's criminal, and it should be. They should be held accountable once this is all justified and turned around, which I ultimately believe is going to be the end result. That justice will prevail, and I
will pursue them
when it does. Then I think we should be able to go after them, or somebody should be able to go after them criminally for attacking American, hardworking American, you know, nonprofit.
Yeah.
Of all things, you know.
Yeah, they actually claim they own our Oregon nonprofit, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, and got a court order that I cannot represent that I am part of the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation anymore. If you'd like more information, we'd be more than happy to send you email articles that were published in Huffington Post and other reputable sources. Just give us a call at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. If you or a loved one need help finding a doctor to help you get a medical marijuana permit, then we have doctors who are willing to do that. Don't go to our old business. Do not trust the folks there at Empower Healthcare. We'll have more about that, but give us a call at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We are about out of time. Is there anything you want to say in closing, Dana?
No, not really. I just want to say thank you for the wonderful opportunity. I'd like people to know that we have an open audience every week that we're live, you know, and we open invitation to people to come and view and say their opinion or ask questions, and then join us for a little after party, you know, a nice little casual gathering at our offices. You know, it's always nice. So please come on down and support us. You know, we're helping you, so help us.
All right. Thank you, viewers. Mr. John Cornett standing by to play you a minute of music on our exit. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. And remember to help us restore hemp.